So why is it that everybody in the world now seems to be changing their opinion over Oliver Anthony?
It is by a singer from Farmville, Virginia, named Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation.
It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden. That song's written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too. Not just them, but definitely them.
Before we get started, I want you guys to know right now that this right here is the reason why I no longer do trending stories the day of, because a lot of times when information starts to come out, next thing you know, you got to print a retraction at a later date, or you got to make a video denouncing the previous video. I think I learned my lesson from another little video that I did a while back. So there's obviously a reason why it was I chose to wait a couple of extra days before actually doing anything on this, because obviously a lot of things have came out. Of course, one of the things that have came out is that Fox News, for whatever reason, decided to use this song at a debate, set things up. Oliver Anthony did not like that. We'll talk about that, but we'll also talk about things that, quite frankly, are a little bit strange about this situation. And I'll also be explaining at the very end of the video the difference between the Southern lib and the lib that you see on television, oftentimes referred to as the Northern or Western lib. So make sure you guys stick around for the full video, and let's go ahead and get into this. What's up, guys? John Claymore here. Now, guys, I did not want to touch this story initially when it came out, and the reason why I did not want to touch it is because if you give it a couple of days, you'll find out that things, let's just say that stuff eventually comes out. If you actually allow the media to do interviews or whatever, you'll probably start finding things out that could be BS or could in fact be true. But obviously this guy got famous because of his song, Richmond, Men North of Richmond, talking about how it is that the political class, the political elites are in fact elites, and they're not exactly doing right by the people. Now, I'm not going to play the song or anything. I'll share a little bit here in the B-roll footage of the song. I'll link it in the description box. The reason why is obviously for copyright. I know somebody's probably going to come in here and say, let's listen to the song. It's on YouTube. And I'm like, no. Copyright claims are a pain. And, of course, I don't feel like having to go through the process of putting in another one of those claims to try to get it removed at this moment in time. But here's the thing. A lot of people are starting to turn on this guy now that some things have came out about him. Now, let's go ahead and just kind of look at this and see exactly what it was that he was trying to convey in the song. So what he was basically trying to convey was that these politicians have run the country into the ground. They don't exactly care about the people. I mean, newsflash, nobody really truly does. And of course, he decided to make a song, essentially calling it out, calling them out. However, here's the problem. You see, when this song got released, a lot of personalities who may be conservative or a little bit more moderate decided that they wanted to jump on this and talk about how great the song was and how it was that it actually resonates with them. It resonates with what's going on in the world today, especially what's going on when it comes to right here in America. And Oliver Anthony, by the way, is a fellow North Carolinian like myself, so obviously I can relate to him because I've obviously been around a lot of guys like him, raised around guys like him, so therefore there's obviously some things right there that I probably can kind of, how do I say, I just put it this way here. I've been raised around the same type of person who writes a song, maybe they didn't release it, whatnot, and of course they're probably writing about their struggle. But here's the thing you need to understand. The vast majority of people who write music, the vast majority of people who actually do music, they're actually a little bit more aligned with the left. This right here is country music. Country music is supposed to be conservative. No. A lot of country music artists are actually closer aligned with the liberal side of politics. The reason why is because the vast majority of them are old school classical liberals. They're all about free speech, all that type of stuff. So when you hear him talking about Richmond, north of Richmond, you probably think to yourself, okay, he's talking about everyday struggle. But in reality, if you actually listen to the words of the song, you actually get more the impression that the song is a little bit more populist in rhetoric, or possibly a little bit more left-leaning. Now, I'm not going to talk that much about that aspect in the song because I plan on doing a video at a later date to explain to you guys the potential positives and the potential negatives of populism and why it is that I'm not fully bought in, because I'm still looking at the entire thing. But I'll just say that taxing the literal hell out of people who pay your paycheck is not exactly the best thing in the world to do. Obama tried to do that mess, and it prolonged the economy's suffering while he was in office. Trump came in, gave us tax cuts. Next thing you know, the the economy began to take off. And of course, those tax cuts are beginning to expire, and you guys are obviously going to see to yourself, you're probably going to see some drastically bad things occur over the next year. That's why so many people are expecting a crash. But here's the thing about Oliver Anthony. For whatever reason, Fox News chose to jump on this.
Part of the world, and that's what makes us strong, is our diversity, and we need to learn to harness that and appreciate it and not use it as a political tool to keep everyone separate from each other, you know?
Fox News jumping on Oliver Anthony should not surprise anybody. No, it should not. Fox News is not exactly an organization that is above having certain guests. Of course, there have been a couple that they have told not to come back over recent years, but still at the same time, though, they, for the most part, will have just about anybody on. Even though I got problems with Fox, I need to go ahead and kind of give them credit. They will at least have anybody on. But here's the thing, though. When you then turn around after that, and then you get the idea to use it at the debate.
It is by a singer from Farmville, Virginia, named Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation, of deep frustration with the state of government and of this country. Washington, D.C. is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
Somebody is probably going to think that, that they're taking advantage of it. But guys, here's the thing. I opened up this video explaining to you guys that there was something else going on here that I think nobody has really and truly thought about. And obviously, it is Anthony himself deciding to call Fox News out, which, by the way, is very interesting because some more information has came out as a result of this.
You know, like, it was funny seeing my song in the... It was funny seeing it at the presidential debate. Because it's like, I wrote that song about those people, you know? So for them to have to sit there and listen to that, that cracks me up. But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, you know? It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden. That song is written about the people on that stage. And a lot more, too. Not just them, but definitely them.
I really and truly don't know where he lines up at. As I've said before, he's probably a classical lib, but at the same time, though, he's probably just a good old-fashioned good old boy. I was raised around guys like this. There are obviously people that live in my neck of the woods who probably still vote Democrat, at least on the state local level, because most of the Democrats in the state of North Carolina have not gone full-blown cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, even though we do have a governor here in Roy Cooper, who, quite frankly, is the laziest governor, I think, in the United States. But still, at the same time, though, for the time being, I'll digress. He was calling out both sides is what he claimed to be doing. But here's the thing. A lot of people are a little bit confused because additional information is coming out. Like, for example, this post here where he pretty much, I'm pretty sure you guys are seeing this, basically saying that he's praising Biden, regardless of the fact that we had this situation in Maui where we're looking at possibly 1,000 children having gone missing, possibly not exactly what we call alive. You look at the situation in Afghanistan where we lost 13 service members, 11 Marines to a corpsman and a soldier. You look at the economy completely falling apart, which, by the way, he talked about in his song. The dollar ain't shit. I got to watch the way I say that because of how the algorithm works. Yes, I'm pretty sure you guys are probably thinking to yourself, this guy over here looks like a great big giant hypocrite. What the hell did he do? Did he dupe us all? Well, I'm not so sure. By the way, before I say this next part, I need you to know right now that the messaging of the song, I 100% agree with. I do feel that, yes, there are a lot of problems. But if you actually listen to the song, you kind of get the impression that it's a little bit more leftist in overall rhetoric. If you actually sit down and boil the song down. So you probably think to yourself, maybe he was a guy who decided to vote for Biden in 2020. But then again, at the same time, that entire thing could be fake, which I'm going to go ahead and address this now. The reason why I put this in this video is so that way you guys who are watching this video here, assuming you guys got to this far in the video, because oftentimes my watch time is low, I left that up for a reason. I want you guys to tell me what you actually think. A while back, I did a video on Andrew Tate, and I decided to include a little clip from another YouTuber named Ubersoy, and somebody went absolutely crazy in the comment section saying that it was an AI generated, when I've not heard any actual proof of that clip being AI generated. So if you've got some proof out there to suggest that the little clip that I shared about him praising Biden, if you've got that, then quite frankly, I would like to hear what the proof is that this entire thing is fake. I'm not so sure that it is, but then again, at the same time, though, if it turns out that it is in fact true, I would not be surprised. However, sometimes calling out both sides is a pretty convenient way of trying to cover something up or admitting that you screwed up. You see, some people will vote for something and then like a year or so later, they'll have some regrets for what they're doing. They made everything worse. However, they cannot bring themselves to admit that they actually did something wrong. They cannot exactly admit that they practically bent the entire country over without the, let's just say, the aid of a lubricant and decide to slide it in. Basically, what I'm saying is it's very, very possible that this guy right here has a lot of regret for what he did. He's obviously singing a song about it. Of course, he would not admit his own part. But then again, though, I could also be wrong. Like I said before, for all I know, this guy right here is not political at all. And I think that a lot of people jumped on this. And as a result of these people jumping on this, we're obviously starting to see that, yes, something could be awry. Now leads me to conclude on this note here. You see, guys, Fox News, according to Politico, asked him if he could use the song, which makes me wonder why it is that he is calling DeSantis and other Republican candidates out. I mean, it's just very, very weird how it was that he decided to call out just the GOP candidates, but not call out anybody on the left and then say he's not for either side. It just makes me wonder. As a matter of fact, it almost feels like maybe it was set up like this. I have no clue. I'm not saying it was a work or anything like that, but it was definitely very strange. So let me go ahead and say this, all right? And this right is where I'm going to conclude this video at. This right is what I think happened. I think this guy simply wrote a song, okay? He just simply wrote a song, all right? It was a good song. It was obviously a song that resonated with people, especially with people on the right. But I don't think that he wanted this video to resonate with people on the right. I think he wanted people to resonate with it on the left. You see, the way the left responded to this video, this entire song, was completely out of, let's just say, the left's characteristics. Typically, they tend to be anti anybody who's wealthy. They typically tend to be the person who's the most, they claim to be the most downtrodden. They claim to be for the little guy, but obviously their politicians do the opposite. And the followers of those politicians typically tend to fall lockstep. For example, Bernie Sanders recently decided to criticize Cornel West. I'm not a fan of Cornel West, but you guys can know I think the man's crazy as hell. But you've got one socialist now fighting with another socialist or another ardent communist or champagne socialist, whichever one you want to say, because he criticized the current regime. West, by the way, is running third party against the Democratic, against both Republicans and Democrats, and I think he's going to pull a lot more left-leaning voters. So I'd like to see Cornel stay in the race because obviously it increases the chances of Biden coming out of office. It obviously increases the chances of that. But I think what happened in this case, and of course the last part that I'm going to talk about in the very, very next segment of this video, is the actual difference between Southern libs and Northern libs or Midwestern libs or Western libs, whichever one you want to use, is this here. I think what happened was like I said, he wrote a song. It obviously resonated with a certain section of the audience, but it did not resonate with the audience that he wanted it to resonate with, and he's getting a lot of backlash from the opposite side, which is going to lead me to explain to you guys the difference between the Southern lib and the Northern lib. And here's that explanation. Okay, now I want you to bear with me really, really quick. The state of North Carolina has some very famous personalities. Personalities that, quite frankly, you would not believe unless you actually did some actual research on these people. You would not believe that these people were, in fact, libs. For example, if you grew up and you watched the Andy Griffith Show, you would probably think that Andy Griffith would have been a conservative today. Nope, lifelong Democrat, continued to vote Democrat his entire life, all the way to the moment of his death. James Taylor is what you call the classical lib, the guy who did the song Carolina in the Morning, or I don't know if it's Carolina in the Morning or what it is. I don't really care for James Taylor. I never literally have. I always thought he was a bit of a puss. But then again, though, at the same time, you still have a lot of famous personalities from the state, and it just so happens to be that a lot of these people actually vote Democrat. Randy Travis, if you remember him, country music star, he was on the left as well at one point in time. A lot of people who come from North Carolina that get famous typically tend to have some leanings to the old Democratic Party. The Southern lib is a much, much different animal than the Northern lib. The northern lib is typically the one that goes out and protests and throws crap at people. Like, for example, the southern lib, like during the Vietnam War, they were more than likely against the war, but at the same time, they weren't exactly protesting the boys when they got home. That was typically the western and northern lib who did that. They typically tend to be a lot more open about their liberalism. Southern libs, on the other hand, take the more open position of being accepted, is what it is, and accepting others. This right here is not the worst view in the world, but then again, at the same time, that's why a lot of Southern libs are re-registering as Republican for the sole purpose that they see what the hell is going on. This right here is not the Democratic Party that they grew up knowing, so obviously they leave it. Maybe Oliver Anthony did not get the memo. Maybe he's going through a transitional phase from where he was more of a classical liberal, and now he's calling out both sides because, quite frankly, he's tired of the monotony of the left. Maybe he's still trying to save the old left that typically came off as pretty good and pretty well-meaning, but of course had been completely hijacked by the crazies. I'll give you one last example. The classical left, the classical liberal, they typically tend to have more open positions on stuff like giving somebody a second chance, being for the little guy, this type of stuff here. And then you have what we call the authoritarian leftist that actually wants to destroy the nation and what the nation's upbringing was or what the nation was about. They tend to feel like they're victimized, or they claim that they're victimized when in reality they're not really victims at all. Most of these authoritarian leftists are just lazy people, which, by the way, we'll be doing videos on that in the future as well. With that right there being said, guys, there's 2 videos coming out today. The other video is going to be on the situation involving Alice Cooper because he got canceled, and of course, the left and the people who did who canceled him obviously did not do any adequate research on him. That video will be at 3. This video here will be at 5. So make sure you guys stick around for both. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like this content, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.